Hello, if you are a regular subscriber to this channel, you know that I discuss philosophy, religion, and I debate trans issues, and I talk about gender issues at length. One of the things that you might not know is that I am a writer and an author. That's right, I'm a writer, and I have finally published my first novel. My debut novel was written under the pen name Aeryn Margaux, not Zoe Vexed, and is now currently available on Amazon. It is called Crown of Crows, and we can do a book reveal. So the paperback version of it, I love the artwork. I love the way that it turned out. I think it's great. And then of course there's the hardcover. Once again, the artwork for it, I really enjoy it. I love the red. Just came out really good. It is just over, I mean, you can see it doesn't look like a thick book, but that's also because the font that I chose to print it is fairly small on the inside. It is over 200,000 words, just over that. And what I would say is the kind of inspiration of what I took from in writing the book is the classics. Naturally, everyone would say like Tolkien or something like that. But I've also really enjoyed like Jim Butcher. I also read Michael Moorcock's Elric saga whenever I was a lot younger. And then, of course, like I've taken a lot of inspiration from various anime and movies and films and stuff. I really liked Full Metal Alchemist. And I really liked like Avatar: The Last Airbender. So there's a lot of sword and sorcery in the story. I also have read a lot of like R.A. Salvatore. You've probably seen some of those books on the shelves. But I wanted to write heroic fantasy from like a queer perspective. And I feel like that's something that I always was looking for when I was reading, and I just couldn't find it. Like there might be like one queer character, one LGBT character where it's like, oh, there's a story with a wizard that's like gay or something like that, or they have like a boyfriend, or there's a lesbian couple, but they're like a background character. And I genuinely believe that people in minority communities, one of the things that they'll always tell us is that we should make our own art. Like, why do we have to take other things and then make like those characters queer or something? You hear this all the time. And like when people talk about like DC or Marvel, and they'll say, oh, in this version, some character is gay and you should make your own. Well, I did. I wrote my own novel, and I am a prolific writer. I've written several novels. I'll be releasing them over the next few years. If you are interested in something like that, if you are interested in novels starring a large cast of queer characters, specifically like in Crown of Crows, one of the protagonists, Aranoth, is a trans woman, realizes her gender identity and starts to unpack that and, explore it socially and everything else throughout the story. And then, throughout the rest of the series, she'll continue on her journey. And I wanted to depict it in a more realistic way. Like it is a, fantasy world. It is set in kind of like a medieval time, like I said, sword and sorcery. So there are those elements to it, but I want to be very clear before you start reading this book. There's a common trope where people will write trans stories and they will have the trans character find some magic or something that essentially just transforms and makes them cis. And then it's never brought up again, or it's like, this is something that's only mentioned in the background. I chose specifically not to do that with this character and not to do that with the series like thus far, because I want to show a more like organic, natural progression timeline for like a trans character in kind of like this fantasy setting. That being said, there's other queer representation in the story as well. I also try to put representation for some mental health, depression. There's DID rep in the story as well. I also touch on themes such as like generational trauma, as well as like racism comes up in the story as well. I did my best to handle these things like as sensitive as I could, while also keeping some like, gritty fighting action scenes. And I wanted to have, a plot with a villain that is like hell bent on, destroying the city and killing everyone, while the cast of characters that are trying to stop him all have their own motivations, all come from a diverse backgrounds, and each one of them have their own viewpoints of where they're coming from. So there's some tension sometimes between the party members, the heroes themselves. That being said, I'm very excited about it. Like, I had a lot of fun writing this. I love these characters. I love this story. And if you are friendly toward LGBT people, or you are an LGBT person yourself, I see online a lot people saying things like, where are heroic fantasy LGBT books, that are fantasy stories that aren't just, specific types of fantasy, which is nothing wrong with writing romance or romantasy or, any of that sort of thing. Those books are fine. But I see a lot of people asking for stories that are LGBT fantasy that are not just that. Like, they want I don't want to say regular. They're looking for plots that are more about the kind of hero's journey, action packed sword and sorcery, without necessarily focusing just extensively on themes of like romance and stuff. And I also have a lifelong love of dragons. You can probably guess by the logo. I do. I love dragons. So the story has dragons in it as well. It has like a sentient artifact in the story. So if you like, the sentient swords and that sort of thing, you might also like some of this. And I think overall, like the feedback that I got from people was that, they've enjoyed the story. And then especially from trans people that read it, they were all saying that they appreciated how I handled it. And then people that were not trans that read the story, they said that they also enjoyed the story and that they felt that the character's transness, while it is brought up and the character's obviously transgender, they felt like it did not overwhelm the rest of the narrative. And I just want to point out as well that I also went out of my way to avoid like LGBT people have tragic lives, because I feel like real life is tragic enough for a lot of us. And I feel like there's plenty of those stories that are out there, and that's fine to talk about those experiences of LGBT people. But I'm choosing not to depict LGBT people and our struggles that way, particularly with this series. My goal is to entertain people, provide them with, heroes that are larger than life, that are fighting against a tide of, darkness, whether it be like dictators, fascists, or monsters, that threaten to destroy the kingdom and that sort of thing. I really had a good time with this. There is a map in the back of the story, or in the back of the book. Everyone that I know was asking, is there a map? I was like, oh, look, yep, there is a map. See, there is a map. So there you go. If you would be interested in the story, then you can find it on Amazon, and you can also follow me on if you want access to my writer account and not my typical content that I do on here, that's going to be under Aeryn Margaux, and you can see how it's spelled right there. And I have a Substack you can follow me at. You can also find me at Blue Sky, the same thing, Aeryn Margaux over there. And if you are, if you're queer, if you're trans, and you read this book, please leave a comment and let me know, like, what did you think about it? And if you are not a queer person, if you just are friendly toward LGBT people, you can also read it and let me know like what you thought about it, because I would be curious how non-queer people like receive the story as well, because I feel like genuinely I'm trying to strike a balance in my writing where I want to tell queer stories, but these books are not only for queer people. It's not like if you are not queer, you can't enjoy the story, because I feel like there's plenty in it for like everyone to enjoy. If you like fantasy, if you like dragons, if you like sword and sorcery, you will probably like the story. Unless you don't like queer people, in which case you don't have to buy it, right? Maybe you can just buy it and then you can burn it or whatever as like a protest because you hate queer art or something. Whatever. At the end of the day, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and I also do make videos as Aeryn Margaux, but those videos are predominantly just about writing. I try not to talk politics and stuff as much on that channel. So if you want to get content from me that is not philosophy, religion, debating, arguing, or streams, then you can check out my YouTube channel, which is also Aeryn Margaux. I will see you in the next video, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Thank you so much. If you made it this far in the video, like genuinely, thank you so much. And if you buy the book, please leave a review. I cannot tell you how much it would help me if you would give me an honest critique or honest review of the story and let me know what you think. All right? Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.